this heart space is really where the big welcome, come on in, is. So it is from that place we sing Reveal, from that open heart space. Reveal, reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, love is what I see. Reveal the love in me. The peace. Reveal, reveal the peace inside of me. Reveal the peace that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, peace is what I see. Reveal the peace in me. The joy. Reveal, reveal. Oh, y'all sound so good. Joy inside of me. Yeah. Reveal the joy that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, joy is what I see. Reveal the joy in me. Reveal, reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. Every time I open up, love. Love is what I see. Every time I open up, peace is what I see. Every time. And every time I open up, joy is what I see. Reveal the love. Reveal the love in me.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. Can you go with me in the silence? There is a power within me that goes beyond me, that handles all things beyond me, and it's working for my highest and best now. This power permeates this room, and there's so much love in this power that we just basically open up and reach and grab in some of that love that's in this air tonight, especially as we listen to Reverend James Peak and Sunny Day and Mom as they bring it home. And so I give great thanks for this night. I give great thanks for the power that's in this presence, that's in this very room as I speak. And I release it to the Lord, knowing that it can only come back as all the love I search as I listen to this message, Mission Possible. And so it is. My reading is coming from Science of Mind, and it's the today's dates thing, you know. You know what I mean. You know the thing. Okay. There is but one mind and one law which all people use, consciously, unconsciously, constructively, destructively, one spirit, one mind, and one law, one substance, but many forms. There is one ultimate reality, but within this one are many experiences. Man is within the one and draws from it all of his experiences. As man thinks, he subjectifies. He subjectifies thought, and he sees law in motion through the medium of the universal mind. This law works automatically until it's consciously changed. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. For our thoughts go into a medium that is infinite in its ability and to do and to be. Man is using power which is infinite as compared with the power of his conscious thought. Greatest subconscious is, its tendency is set in motion by the conscious thought. And in this lies the possibility of the pathway to freedom. Freedom and bondage, sickness and health, poverty and riches, heaven and hell, good and bad, big and little, happiness and misery, peace and confusion, faith and fear, and all the conditions which appear to be opposites are not really a result of this operation opposing powering. Not at all. But they are the way the power is used. So, with that in mind, think about how we use that power when we think about our love as I bring on Reverend James Peake.
All right. Here's my Dr. Christian impersonation. Good evening, Seaside. What do you think? Okay, jacket, no tie. Well, my home community is Namaste Center for Spiritual Living, and it's located in Long Beach. I actually live in Huntington Beach, so it's just a short 66-minute drive to get down here, as long as I'm going 80 miles an hour and there's no highway patrol. But I am thrilled to be here, and I don't know if you're like me, but February doesn't seem like it's this short month, but my gosh, there's so much has occurred in February already. We had the Super Dud Bowl, right? Unless you're a Seahawks fan, of course. All right, there's a couple of you out there. All right, there's medicine for that, and we'll get to that later. But also, it was Groundhog's Day, and I don't know if you're like me. You ever wonder, the groundhog comes out, sees his shadow, but he never does his shadow work. And then we had that national holiday, Valentine's Day, right, with the hidden expectation that you're going to do the exact thing and buy me the exact gift that I never told you I wanted, but it's got to be the perfect thing, so I know that you love me on that day, holiday, yeah. Yeah, it's a fun one, especially when you start to step into this real love stuff that's going on here. It's like real love and Valentine's Day. Interesting dynamic there, And last but not least, the Olympics, where we've learned the value of a Holiday Inn that actually functions. So February has been an interesting month, but as we look out into the world, we do see, what appears to be some challenges and some problems. Here in America, bigotry seems to be kind of up, and the governor in Arizona did veto their latest foray into interesting legislation. But so that occurred. But as we look around, there's a lot of bigotry, discrimination. We certainly have homeless challenges. We have students in college paying big money, and who knows if they're ever going to find a job, but at least they'll be guaranteed some good debt, right? So we look at America, and there's some challenges, and around the world, we can certainly pick a spot. Pick a spot, right? You could pick Russia, some challenges. You could pick Pakistan, Iraq, Middle East, for centuries they haven't figured out how to get along. And maybe we think to ourselves, well, I'm not that worried about, stuff out there. I've got my own challenges because maybe my finances aren't really where I want them to be. Or maybe my relationships aren't where I want them to be. And it can start to feel overwhelming sometimes when things maybe aren't going the way we want them to, especially if we've been told that we create our experience. Oh my gosh, right? Like, oh, it's all my fault? Are you kidding me? Really? Well, kind of, yeah. And we can start to believe the story that maybe we've told ourselves or someone told us. So if we think of things on a scale of 1 to 10, so maybe I'm in a job where, it's about a 6 on the scale of 1 to 10. It's not really overly creative, it pays the bills, but I'm not really enthused. But maybe I'm really good with finances, and I figured out investing. So maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, my finances are a 9, but when it comes to personal relationships, it just seems they're a big mess. So maybe I'm a 2. And we can start to buy into this idea that, it'll never change. That if I'm a 2 in relationships, I'm going to have a real hard time getting over here to be a 10. And I'm going to drive the cameraman crazy, but, that's who I am. But the beauty of it is that we know that we're really not bound by precedent, okay? Principle's not bound by precedent, which is a fancy way of saying what happened before didn't have to happen again. But it can start to feel like it's a real challenge, like, it's mission impossible. But the beauty of it is, and the talk title for tonight is Mission Possible. And the reason it's Mission Possible is because we have a way to, kind of do like the TV show did, Mission Impossible, because they had these impossible missions, right? And if you choose to accept your mission, which, by the way, the fact that you're a human on the planet, you've accepted some mission, right? And the fact that you're in a Centers for Spiritual Living community, you've probably woken up to the fact that, well, maybe part of the mission is to find a way to be happy and creative and manifest the life of your dreams. Guessing, maybe, just a little. Anybody? Anybody? Any takers on the life of the dream? Okay. So if we think about the TV show, though, how was it that they got these crazy assignments that really were impossible, but they made them mission possible? They were able to turn those challenges into something that could happen. And I think it comes down to 4 basic ideas. The first one is that they had a team. They had this really cool team that came together and worked well together. The second idea is that they had some tools, some special knowledge. I mean, maybe not quite MacGyver knowledge, but they were pretty good. But they had some pretty good knowledge, and they were able to, whether it's put on some masks or they had some contraptions that worked really well. And of course, they had a plan. They always had a really interesting plan to what they were going to do, to how they were going to solve the problem, or kidnap this person, or whatever they were going to do. And they knew how to execute. So they had a team, they had some tools and special knowledge, they had a plan, and they knew how to execute. And it's really not any different for us. So when we're looking to change our lives and we're looking to step into a new way of being, we've got a team. We really do. I mean, if you're in one of these communities, the first team you've got your ministers. And depending on the size of the church, it may be 1, it could be 3 or more. But so you get ministers on your team. And you've got practitioners, which, from my limited perspective, having been in this tradition about 25 years, they're really underutilized. Really, really underutilized. So our practitioners hold that truth for us. They know the truth and the light. They know it's mission possible regardless of what's on display. Regardless of what that condition is, they can hold that truth for us. So if you're not utilizing a practitioner, in most communities, the practitioners are available following service for short prayers. There's ministry of prayer, whether it be a written request, email request. But we can utilize the practitioners. They're on the team. I mean, we've got this kick-butt team of people that are with us out there, and we're going to change our lives. And of course, there's other folks in the community, people that we can just be with and we can share openly and that support us, and we get on teams and we're volunteering together, and so we've got this powerful team. And of course, the biggest member of the team is Spirit itself. Because regardless if we forget, regardless if we believe that we're separate somehow, that God has forgotten us, that life has left us behind, the truth of it is that there is no way we can ever be outside of God. We could ever be outside the circle. So we do have Spirit on our team. So we've got this really great team, but the question is, what tools do we have and what's our special knowledge then? Well, a couple of the tools that we have are things like affirmation, meditation, visualization. Anybody ever utilize any of those? Just a little bit, maybe. So we've got these tools that we can use. And another really great tool, or special knowledge, if you will, is our understanding of the creative process. The creative process. I don't really buy into the idea that there's a God out there, but something's going on. So just to kind of recap real quick, for those that maybe not be fully clear on what I'm talking about when I say the creative process, it's the idea that there's 3 aspects or elements to Spirit or God, whatever label we want to use, and sometimes labels can be limiting. But the idea that we have mind, or an idea, it gets dropped into the thing that makes things happen, often referred to as the law, or the creative medium, and then basically the output, which is the world of effects. And a real basic, simple example is there's a table here. But before that table could be built, there had to be the idea of table. Because I can't just go and build something that I haven't thought about or don't have an idea for. And maybe I'm working from somebody's blueprint, but somebody created the blueprint. And so this is true both here in our human experience and the whole macrocosm of the universe. So there's a creative principle always at play. At least I'm kind of going with that, if you work with me here on this. So there's this idea of oneness. And it's another one of these like special knowledge things, you know? It's like, you know, hey, kid, did you hear about the oneness? And the way I look at it, it's like either there is oneness or there's not. It'd be really hard for there to be kind of oneness, right? I mean, you know, just, am I wrong? Just work with me here. So there's either oneness or there's not. So I'm going to go with the oneness idea because I think it's a lot cooler. I like the idea that I'm always connected to something greater than myself and that I'm supported fully in life and that kind of good stuff. So if I'm going to go with the oneness idea, I got the creative process and the oneness idea working. And then maybe I'm going to go with this idea of love. Okay, so love, is it real or not? I'm going to go real. I'm liking the way that feels. Because if love isn't real and it's just a made-up idea and we're just a material thing here with random chemicals firing in our brain that somehow means that, ooh, I'm feeling loved or there's meaning in life, but how can meaning come from chemicals that are firing in the brain? So I'm going to go with this love idea, and I'm going to even take it to the big step and say that the essence of life itself is unconditional love and support. So we get this creative process that's always working, and it's working on our behalf in the sense that we get to be right. Whatever we believe, we get to be right. So you may know the grumpy guy, dark cloud guy, right? He walks around, life sucks. Nothing ever works out. Yeah. He gets to be right. He gets to have that experience. You know, whatever we're affirming, we tend to notice it and it shows up. There's actually a scientific principle around it. It's why when you buy a new car, suddenly everybody has the same car. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that works. But I'm going to go with this. So we got a creative principle. We got the idea that oneness exists, means that we're always part of this one life. And if love is the essence, then, you know, I'm going to lay down big money that the universe is a safe place. And that it supports me fully in all I do. And so the tool I use to affirm that and to bring that truth into my being is, wait for it, spiritual mind treatment, right? We all know what spiritual mind treatment is, right? So sometimes it seems a little complicated. You know, in those third or fourth week foundation students, I really, really, you know, have a lot of empathy for them because it's like, what the heck is going on? But it's really, really simple. So it's the idea that this oneness is true, and if oneness is true, then God must be all there is, and so I must be part of that which it is. And if that's true, then I can affirm that my good is mine, and that I know my good is mine, and you know, Jesus said it's done unto us as we believe. So it means it's already been done. It's just a matter of me allowing it to come in. And so naturally I would be very thankful that that's going on, and because I know that it's not just my work to do, the universe is working with me. And granted, I'm part of it and all that good stuff, but you know, it's working for me. So that's the fifth step, and I let it go. And lately, in your community here, you're starting to gain some other special knowledge. It's this thing called real love. And I know a number of you are involved in the book studies, and I know Dr. Christian has been speaking about real love on Sundays. And the really cool thing from my perspective, and I've actually been involved in real love for over 10 years now, is that it's very similar to spiritual mind treatment in this regard, that it's easily understood, it's principle-based, so we can mentally figure it out. It's really not overly complicated. We tell the truth to people that can see us, we feel accepted, we start to understand that acceptance is unconditional love. We now know what it is, so we can tap into the universal source, which some of us call God. But the other thing is it's repeatable. It doesn't change. Just like treatment. I mean, not that spiritual mind treatment is the only way to affirmatively pray. It's not. There's many ways we could affirmatively pray. And there's those that say that Dr. Holmes actually sometimes would do a 3-step treatment. He was already so grounded in the first 2. But through the real love, I start to understand what unconditional love is, and I can clear out all those fears and all the junk. And that allows the spiritual mind treatment to have even more power. I know the truth of myself. I know the truth of my purpose in my life. And so as that creative process is working, bam, my life starts to shift dynamically. So I've got a team, I got some tools and special knowledge, but I need a plan. Now a plan's going to look different for everybody. We all have our own plan. But typically a plan might be, I'm going to start taking some classes and workshops if I haven't. Or if I haven't volunteered in a while, volunteering is an amazing thing. If you have never volunteered, it's really, really interesting, the dynamic that takes place as we're just giving without looking for anything in return. We're just giving from our heart, giving from our love, supporting our spiritual community, supporting other communities we may be involved in, other nonprofits, even volunteering to help out friends and family. It opens our heart, but it's a very powerful thing. But I started to develop a plan about I'm going to continue to work toward positive growth, more realization of what the truth is, and stepping more into my power. Now, we do have to be willing to step into it. And sometimes there's a little bit of a surrender or a dance we have to play, because we have this thing, 3 letters. Anyone? Starts with an E, rhymes with go. Yeah, ego's so much fun, isn't it? Have you ever noticed, no matter how far down your spiritual path you get, and how much more loving and more powerful and more aware of spirit you are, it just finds a way to still want to mess with stuff. It gets in there and likes to play games. And you can have a really, really spiritual ego. Man, that gets to be a bugaboo. Because it knows all the words, and it knows all the stuff, and it's going to convince you that you're so grand, and you're so spiritual, and you're so wonderful, and then whoosh, there goes the rug. Tell you, that ego thing, man, it gets to be a bit of a trick. And the last thing the ego wants you to do is surrender to your higher self. But it's a really vital thing, because otherwise we start to think the plan's not working. So we really need to be open to this idea that the higher self, the God self, our true self, if you will, is wise enough to trick the ego up a little, get the ego to surrender back just enough that that true self can kind of take over driving the bus. I don't know about you, have you ever had any of those weirdos driving the bus? Fearful Freddy, Angry Andy, Perfect Peter, Scared Sally, Righteous Ralph. Well, that tends to be Christians, but no. All right, I'm bad minister. Okay. But we let the crazies drive the bus. Who's driving the bus, right? The crazies. It's not rocket science, it's religious science. But yeah, okay, I'll go with that. It's okay. But when we let the crazies drive the bus, we don't know where it's going. So the real trick is to surrender and be willing to have a shift and a change in our lives. And listen for that small voice, because guidance is there. There's a small spiritual voice that's within. Now, does it get drowned out by the inner critic? Of course, because the inner critic's really loud, right? It's got this huge horn. You have no right to be happy. Who are you to think you'll succeed? Your dad told you you'd never amount to anything. He was right. So that inner critic is in there, yeah. Right? Trying to convince you, your plan doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? Those people don't really love you. They don't really care about you. They're just pretending. Why do you want to do that? Why would you possibly want to go to that church? But there's a quiet voice inside that's our guidance, that tells us the truth, that we are love in action, that we're fully supported in all that we want to do, and that our plan to heal our lives and to grow and to understand more of God is a good plan. It's a great idea. But then we have to go into the execute mode. And when we go to execute, and we're not talking about killing the ego, because I've tried. I did find that you can trick it up occasionally. And get it to think that it's going to get what it wants. But the only way you're really going to get what you want is we got to go down the spiritual road first. I promise you'll get what you want, but we're going to go this way. We have to be willing to execute the plan. Now, executing a plan only works, first of all, if we have the desire to execute the plan. It's really hard to change our lives if we're unwilling to change, right? We have to have the desire to change. And then we have to actually have an actual willingness, okay? So if I have the desire to change my life, that's great. And I can sit around and, try to change my life all day long. I'm trying, not really doing. As Yoda would say, there's do and do not, right? So I'm trying, but we have to have the desire and then the willingness to actually step forward and say, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to call in a greater experience. I'm not going to let the stories of the past, regardless of the pain, regardless of, maybe I was victimized. Maybe I did have things in the past. But I'm not going to allow others to define who I am. I'm going to trust these spiritual principles. I'm going to trust those that look at me and say, no, you're all powerful, you are love, you are the Christ consciousness incarnated. So I'm going to have the desire and the willingness to change. And then I'm going to follow my plan. Now, I don't know about you, but if you go to the gym and you lift weights for 20 minutes and then you're on the treadmill for 20 minutes, you don't go home all buff. Anybody ever want that result? It's like, wouldn't that be cool? I could eat donuts for a week straight, go to the gym for 20 minutes, no problem. But that's what we do with our spiritual growth so often, it seems. It's like the change doesn't occur right away, and it's like, oh, well, maybe this isn't working, and now I got to maybe I'll go to this workshop, or I'm going to try this seminar, or that's the book this time. So we need to kind of stick with the plan a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't alter the plan. But so often, folks seem to jump in and out of ideas, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and I'll try this one. So we have to be willing to kind of have a little bit of stick-to-itness. Because the real goal, again, is to be happy. And it is mission possible. We have the team. We have the tools and the special knowledge. We've got our plan. We just need to be willing to execute it. But it's not always easy. Sometimes there are some challenges. But we really don't have any idea how great our life can be when we're looking at it from where we're at now. With the real love, I talk to folks about relationships. And I don't know if you're like me, you may have a challenging relationship in your life somewhere. It could be with your partner, your primary relationship. It could be with a family member, coworker. They're usually good fodder. But any relationship that we have no idea what that relationship can be until both folks have their hearts open and get that the primary reason for coming together is to remind each other that we are that Christ consciousness. The God in me recognizes the God in you. That there is a way to come together heart to heart. We're all on a soul's journey. And that journey is to return home to the truth, to let go of the trappings of the ego, to let go of the hellacious experiences in our mind when we're out of alignment with truth. But it is mission possible. We can absolutely utilize these principles to change our lives. And so if it's not happening for you, or maybe it's only happening in one area, I would offer, get some support, stay with the plan, beef up the team if you need to, but just remember that you're always loved and supported. You're in the circle. You're never outside of it. Namaste. So continuing in this consciousness of knowing that we are loved and supported, and that life fully supports the true manifestation of who we are. We can move into a time of silence and meditation with our hearts open, just being present to whatever that divine guidance is that we want to send ourselves tonight. Beginning to come back. There's no rush to this time and space. Feeling fully supported physically by your chair, lovingly by spirit. Just allowing your eyes to become lighter, becoming present. There's no rush. So we're going to move into a time of community giving, and so I invite the ushers to come forward. And so just knowing that these gifts that are coming forth are coming from a consciousness of understanding the circulation of life and love and abundance that God is. That there truly is no limit. The only limit on life is the one that we place upon it ourselves. So as we open to that possibility of infinite flow, I know that all of these gifts of finances, of love, support for this center manifest in multitude and ultimately are the healing energy that truly changes the planet. And so it is.
Guide me to crystal waters, quench my thirst from within, feed me life everlasting till I want no more. Bathe me in crystal waters, cleanse my soul from within. Oh, feed me to wisdom and power, set my spirit free. Right here, right now, I feel the Spirit, the Holy Spirit over me. Right here, right now, I feel the Spirit, the Holy Spirit over me. And right here, right now, I feel the angels, appointed angels over me. Oh, right here, right now, I feel the angels, appointed angels over me. Right here, right now, I feel the power, the mighty power over me. Hey, right here, right now, I feel Come on and feed me till I want no more. Come on and feed me till I want no more. But I'm not till I want no more. Till I want no more. Come on and lead me till I want no more. Come on and feed me till I want no more. Come on and beg me right now till I want no more.
My goodness. So, it's supposed to be this community discussion question time, but I have a question. How does that happen? Whew. All righty. Man. Talk about a table being set. So we are going to move into community discussion time. Does anybody have a question or comment? Don't be shy. I promise you're loved. It's so nice of you to volunteer him.
He said he wanted to. Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
My name is Chris Jones, and I recently accomplished my stage fright.
Yeah, we got plans for you, young man. It's a good thing. You too, I promise. Because we're like this now, right?
My name is Terry Ensor, and thanks, Chris Jones, I have now accomplished my stage fright too.
Hey. We're on a roll.
My name is Joy, and I just want to say, how could it get any better?
You could.
Last week, I had an experience with someone who had a schizophrenic episode, and that just taught me to real love more and just be unconditionally loving more, and not to hold on to any anger of which, because he punched me in the face, but it's all good because he had stuff going on in his head, and the worst thing I could do is elevate it by being angry. So it just taught me more to be more unconditionally loving.
Well, powerful. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Nicolette, and just wanted to say, you, Sonny, and your mom are really great here because you two like totally match. So.
I don't know how you'd say any better than that, right? Totally match.
Who wrote that last song?
Totally match.
Anyone else?
One last thing.
Yeah.
Basically, when I ask myself, what do I want? I already have it. So I don't want anything anymore. So, I mean, there are some things that I'd like to see in my life happen, but knowing that everything I have is right here, it's all unfolding perfectly, and I don't get anxious anymore.
Yeah.
Not as anxious.
Awesome.
Dissipating.
Oh boy, I hope I can do this. I thought would this be easy, but it's really something that's kept saying I probably should keep it to myself, but I don't really think I want to do that. If I can complete it all. We have a cat, Rambo, or Rami we call him, and he's 18 years old, and he's the love of our life. And a short while ago, he looked like he might be dying. He had some issues at the vets that really precipitated the illness, and I had a lot of fear about that. I didn't want to lose him, and I thought I would be losing him. And then I was praying one night about this, and I do believe God talks to us. I think what the problem is we don't listen very closely sometimes. And in my prayers, I was trying to understand that Rami and I, and all of us, are part of the allness of God. That's who we really are. That's the truth of who we are. And then God said, yes, Bruce, and you have to die to the idea that this personality called Rami could die. You have to allow that to die. I'm sorry, I didn't say it right. You have to allow the idea of the personality of Rami to die so that you can see Rami in his allness as part of God. And until I can give up the idea that Rami as a personality is life, I can't expect to see a healing. And I looked at myself and I said, well, that's very true for me, because if I continue living with the idea of me, the personality called Bruce, as being the life, then I have to look at all the crap that's going on in my life, and all the goodness too. There's been a lot of both. But I cannot allow that to be the reality of who I am. And when I realize that who I am and who Rami is part of the allness of God. Now, Rami hadn't been eating for over a week, and he had lost about 1.5 pounds, and he's not very big. The next morning, I put his food before him, and he gobbled it down. And he's been eating his meals every night, twice, 2 or 3 times a day, every day for the past, a week and a half or so. And I realized that we had, if you want to call this a healing, yes, we had a healing. What it was for me was a realization of who, what Rami and I am, and what the rest of us are. That was the healing for me. And when that occurred, Rami just accepted it and went on his way and became a healthy little cat. And we're very, very happy about that.
It is so true. And that's what allows us to love each other without knowing each other, because we do know each other, as the allness says the truth. Beautiful. Thank you. And I've got to cheat because first time here doing Wednesday. Closing song and prayer. In love we stand.
Thank you, Reverend James Peake. We are blessed by you being here. So we're all holding hands, but let's go, woohoo! That is our revealing experience. Thanks to you for all that you've brought this evening and all that we all bring. And so, of course, my beloved Nicolette is here to guide us in our hand movements. But if we are holding hands, you know, it's all good. You don't have to let go. Here we go. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. Go forth and multiply the love.
Join us all in fellowship.
Reverend James, if you want to go get some hugs, you go out there, they'll hug you up big time.
Love is leading me on. My troubles fade and my heart is strong, and love is leading me on. When my day feels like an empty cup, I know that love is leading me on. I open up and let the love come and fill me up. Oh, 'cause love is leading me on, and everybody sing, love is leading me on. Love is leading me on. My troubles fade and my heart is strong, 'cause love is leading me on. I feel my sorrow and I know my fear, but there's love that's leading me on. I know that God is love is right here, and that love is leading me on. Love is leading me on. Love is leading me on. My troubles fade and my heart is strong, 'cause love is leading me on. Love is leading me on. Love is leading me on. Love